Welcome to another edition of Land and Legacy by Griffith Realty. I'm Scott Griffith, president of Griffith Realty, and here's my sister Carol, the vice president, and Carol's going to introduce our guest today.
We're delighted this afternoon to have some very good community advocates and leaders right here in our area. It's Crosswinds Aviation, and we have Matt and Andrea, husband and wife team, Dahline, and they're going to talk to us today about the great nugget that we have in Livingston County that a lot of people I don't think know about in terms of what you're doing for aviation, and in terms of the support you're giving kids in schools and adults, and I'll just let you tell us, but before we go any further, I do want to let you know what great leaders you are and contributors you are to Livingston County, so we're really proud to have you today. Tell us a little bit about, to our audience who might not know that you exist, and what you've done for our community has been really great.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having us. We're super excited to be here.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
So tell us a little history about your company.
Well, we bought the business in 2011, and at the time it was a very small flight school. It was one instructor and one plane and myself.
Actually, when we bought the business, we had no instructors. That was our first hire.
We had to hire really quick.
We're going to need one.
Right, exactly.
And at the time, I was able to start the business, and Matt had a full-time job, so I was able to take the reins and start growing the business and working on it. Matt would work on the nights and weekends whenever he had a chance. So bootstrapping all the way, but we, worked on it as hard as we could. And
yeah, we worked a lot of long hours, and I think it was about 2 years into the business, we had grown it just enough to barely support our family. And so I took the leap and left my corporate job.
Wow.
And so that we could both do this together full time, and really haven't looked back since then. It's been a great ride. We've had a lot of ups and downs, but it's been successful. And we're super excited about what we're doing, and couldn't be happier that we did what we did.
So you're at the James Hardy Airport, which is in Howell, which is another asset we can always talk about. But so people know asset. That. But you're broadened way beyond just the local airport. But that's what we know you for, is being here. So yeah. So where else are you also?
So we're also in Flint at Bishop International. We're also in Waterford, which is the Pontiac, or also known as Oakland County International.
Sure.
And then in Willow Run Airport down in Ypsilanti.
Wow, that's hot. Yeah, and so you have instructors at every one of these locations. Do you do the ground school there at these places too, or is that centralized or done different? I don't know how it's done nowadays. So
most of our ground school is done one-on-one with each individual comes in and does one-on-one ground with their instructor. But we also have high school programming where we do have large-scale programs for Livingston County, and also up in Genesee County, where we have classrooms with the students that come, and we have 2 sections in Howell, morning and afternoon section, and then we also have 1 section up in Flint at the Bishop with the Genesee County.
Yeah,
that's great.
And we're actually pretty excited. We're going to be opening up in Lansing this fall.
Nice.
With the Eaton RISA. So we've been working closely with them, which is a 3-county ESA.
Wow.
And so we'll be opening up our operations at the Capital City Airport and starting our high school program there. Running this flight school for 12 years now, we realized after starting our high school program, which is about 2 years into maybe 1 or 2 years into our operation, we started with the Howell schools. It was kind of interesting, starting our business in aviation, we get a lot of things that are great ideas, right?
Sure.
We have our high school program. We were told we should do charter, and we should do a Sears training center, and we should do this and buy this plane and buy that plane.
Not just shiny objects in aviation. Just stay focused.
There's a lot of shiny objects in this business, and one of the things that we found about 4 or 5 years into our business, we started working with an EOS implementer, which is the Entrepreneur's Operating System. Okay. And at the time, we were doing all these different things, including the high school program. And one of the things that we did through the EOS is we really figured out what our passion was. What is it that we really love to do? And really at that time, after working on that probably for about a year's time frame, with utilizing the EOS and our implementer, what are our core values? What are we passionate about? And really what we, really boiled that down to was our high school program. We love working with kids.
Nice.
And so, we have kids. We're parents of 2 kids that were in the Howell Public Schools. We had all these young students that were now in our high school program and starting to fly with us. And really what we determined was, at the end of the day, what gets us up in the morning and what gets us excited. It wasn't all these other different things that we were working on. It was really the kids that were helping to start a career. Nice. And so at that point, which was probably 8 years ago, we just said, look, this is what we need to do, and this is what we need to focus on. We got rid of the charter certificate. We got, we ended our Cirrus Training Center. We kind of shed the things that weren't as exciting and said, this has got to be our focus.
Oh, that's great. So, how many kids do you think that you've had go through the student program? And we talked a little about, you might even talk about why this is now important. I say all the time, not as many kids are going in the Air Force and getting into becoming pilots for the airline. Right. So you think, where do you start, right?
Yeah,
so,
exactly. Well, so to answer your first question, I think we've had somewhere around 600 students go through our high school program.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's just great.
Yeah. Now, not all of them became pilots, right? A number of them went off. A lot of them.
They got knowledge.
Yeah. Well,
knowledge
and some
discipline.
Yep.
And, a lot of
how to be a professional, how to organize, how to study.
Yeah.
A lot of have gone to become meteorologists because we learned so much about weather, or air traffic controllers, or maintenance technicians. All the different things that you can do in aviation. So, a good number of them did take up flight training and become pilots. And by the way, that's when we talk about our passion, what really gets us going is, which just happened the other day, when we get pictures from these students that started, in the Howell High School program, and now they're flying for Delta. They get
so they're on the flight deck, and they're sending us a picture, and we're like, wow, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. So and
we had a part in making that happen.
Yeah, and they run into each other. They're flying together, and here's like 2 students that we started, and they're flying up front in an airliner. That's cool.
That is great.
So that's really what it's
and especially the ones that you would have never thought would have gone into it otherwise. If they wouldn't have been introduced or thought, I'll try it out in high school and see where it goes, and then they end up going all the way through, and it's just really satisfying to us to see that change in them and where it takes them.
And you are providing a huge opportunity because we know, and if people don't know, it's an expensive proposition if you say, gee, I think today I'll go out and start taking lessons just because I might like to fly, right?
Yeah.
You better be really interested in flying if you want to start to do this, right?
It is expensive. Yeah. Absolutely. It's always been expensive to fly planes. Sure. It's not getting any cheaper.
You mean gas didn't go down?
No, not at all. Maintenance, gas, everything. And I think that's one of the things that we're actually getting really focused on at the flight school is, one, when a student does start with us, setting them up for success.
Sure.
So actually we're changing our whole curriculum now. So our first 2 lessons are actually about how do you, we don't even talk about planes. How do you study? How do you organize your studying? What are you doing as a pilot? Where this is going to end up is with 200 people behind you someday. Is that what you're committing to here?
It's your mindset, correct?
It's a mindset, and you need to be ready to come in and do the hard work and study hard and prepare for your lessons and all those things. So what we're doing is trying to set our students up for success that start, but then also if they're not able to do it, or they're not putting the work into it, to not just keep training them without them putting the work into it, because then you're spending a lot of money and not getting anything for it. So, we're trying to get really focused on, efficiency of training because it is so expensive.
Right.
How do we ensure that our students are getting the highest return for their dollars spent with us? So that we can increase the chances that they do make it to the airlines.
And so where do you take them from and to? So they start, do you get them to the first license point, and then they go to college, or do they, or just sort of, I mean,
yeah, we could talk about that.
There's a lot there. Here, and I don't know where you get to when you graduate high school and where you go after that. So yeah.
We'll take them as far as they want to go with us. So we have a full professional pilot program. We can take someone all the way from nothing to a flight instructor, multi-engine commercial, hire them as an instructor to build their hours to qualify for the airlines.
Sure.
So they can go all the way with us. They can do that as part of our Eastern Michigan University 4-year degree program.
Sure.
So we do have that. If a student does want to get a degree while they're doing their flight training with us, they can go through our EMU program, or they can go off to another college. Western Michigan has a great program, Northwestern Michigan College up in Traverse City. By the way, we have great relationships with all these other flight programs where there's a ton of students. There's enough to go around for all of us. So it's kind of an interesting industry from that perspective.
Yeah, we need pilots.
We need pilots.
Well, that's
we're only training half of what we need
currently. We're in a period now of all of a sudden where they say we need pilots. I mean, I don't know how long ago. It doesn't feel like it's that long ago they were saying that wasn't the situation, but we clearly are now.
Yeah.
And they're
it's all hands on deck with all the flight schools, and we all work together hand in hand to try to ensure that we're creating great pilots.
So we don't really compete with the other programs. We really more work together with them. When we have our high school students in our high school class or that are working with us, we want to expose them to all of the options. Of course, we want everyone to fly with us because we're the best, right?
Sure. Well, of course. Yeah.
But sometimes that's not. Sometimes
we
that's.
Just keep saying that because that's what we said day
right.
one. So
exactly.
Yes.
Right. But if it's not the best fit for someone, some of our students want to go to Western and have that big college, experience with a big football team and all that, and some people want to go to Traverse City and live up north and have the amazing, views that they get flight training up there, and they're all great programs. Ours is great. Western, NMC, Purdue, all the different ones around the country are all great aviation programs. And so we kind of feel that our place in that is to provide training and have those offerings, but also to make sure that our students are educated on figuring out what the best fit is for them.
Sure.
So that they're most likely to be successful, whether that's with us or with somebody else.
Nice. That's really nice. What a great program. And so how is it, is Howell a good location to have this school? I mean, obviously you started here, it's growing here. It feels like they've grown the airport. Seems like it's a good place.
Yeah, I mean, Howell is a great airport. We have huge community support. That's been a huge component for us is just learning from and having the support of many community leaders to be able to launch us into the other areas. And so we call Howell our headquarters. So we do really appreciate everything that Howell has to offer. And just expanding to the other locations, we want to give an opportunity for those kids in those areas to also be able to fly with us. Driving long distances just to come to Howell, because we had thought, do we just expand it even larger in Howell, or do we go to those other locations? And really, it made more sense for us to open up at those other locations to be able to service those different areas.
Is it hard getting instructors? I mean, you start with yourself, and then now we're finally...
We are producing our own now, which is really fantastic, but we do not... We have set up a pretty good pipeline of instructors, and we haven't had too many issues finding them. I think the word on the street is that we're a pretty cool organization to work for, so we pride ourselves in that, and so we really want to make sure that we have a great environment and that we're helping them get to their next job, because really it's just a game of getting hours, getting experience. A lot of times that's their first job, and so a lot of it is then getting them the hours so that they can go to the regional airlines or corporate or whatever is their next step.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that's actually an interesting topic, and we've talked a lot about this along the way, is that, really for us, our core values are at the heart of everything. We're authentic. We genuinely care about others. We have a quest for elegance. We're always looking to improve, what we're doing. We're high throttle, adventurous, and fun, so we work hard and play hard.
Yeah, that's good.
What's interesting is by really working on those core values, embodying them, and just being them every day, what we find is we attract people with similar core values.
Nice.
Which is
it's the way the world works, right?
Yeah, and so the community that has rallied around us in Howell has been amazing, because I think honestly, this community in Howell does share a lot of those core values.
Yes, I agree.
And so that's been an amazing kind of way to run our business and attract the right people that will not just be community support, but employees.
Sure.
And so I think that's kind of the reputation that we have, is that we take good care of our people and our clients. And aviation is a small community. The word gets out, right? Yeah. And so we get a lot of flight instructors that want to work for us. Yeah. And haven't really had much of an issue, attracting people to our company.
Is your kids going to do this? So actually, our oldest is into fishing. So he goes to Adrian College, and he's a bass fisherman. So he's doing that. He loves to be in the plane and go to places very fast, like a time machine. So he's fine with that.
Can I do a shout out for the Howell Bass team?
Oh, sure. There you go.
So we started that when he was in high school. Really? Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah. So, but our youngest, Amelia, she's just graduating from Howell High School, and she is training currently and planning on going to Eastern Michigan University in the fall. So she's all in and pretty excited.
Her Amelia.
We named her
Amelia.
Totally here. What?
Legacy is there. No pressure. No pressure. Yeah, no pressure. She seemed to have always loved it, though. When they were little and they were sitting in the back of our planes, we were going on a trip, and it would get a little bit turbulent. She would, her older brother would get a little nervous, and she'd grab his hand, and it was so cute
and smile like, this
loved
is fun.
She was always really passionate about it. Great? So we love that. I mean, and really, if it's not that, and that's with our high school program, we want those kids to get that spark in high school. And if they don't, that's okay. It's a win-win for us anyways, because if you can figure out what you love and what you maybe will pass on in high school already, that gives you one, better step and forward when you go to your next step. So
that's great.
Yeah.
So how do you see this going? I mean, does it just keep growing like this, or you got what's this kind of?
Well, I mean, we do have other interests.
You pull your head out of the clouds now?
Yeah, exactly. So we don't know where it's going. We're committed to turning this into something that's, a legacy that we can leave. Sure. How long we're involved in it, we don't know yet. But we do have other interests. We love sailing. I've been sailing since I was 8 years old, and Andrea started sailing with me when we were racing. My racing sailboat
in community.
In Lansing. And so, we have a passion for sailing. We own a sailboat up in Traverse City now that we like to go and cruise on. So that's kind
how
of
we get away. We don't go fly. We go sail.
We go slow.
Go on the water to just decompress.
So I love physics when I was a kid. I put a plug in for physics. You see, you guys are in aerodynamics no matter where it is.
Exactly. Whether it's horizontal or vertical.
That's right. Just on the wind.
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities with the two.
Exactly.
Sure.
You know how to trim the sail.
Yeah. But there's other interests that we have. We've gotten very much into, my sister is a doctor. We've gotten actually during COVID, we got very healthy and learned how to make healthy food. Nice. So we took the time to really work on that. And, there's just a lot of things that we see in the world that we could, hopefully spend time and work on that isn't related to flying, mostly around health and fitness and, how to help people do that.
Spent a lot of time, but how did COVID affect you? I mean, I assume it shuts you down for a period of time, but
2.5 months, I think it was.
2.5 months. I mean, we did have to shut down but we were resilient. Again, I have to put a plug out, like a lot of the people in our Howell Rotary Club, and we all kind of gathered together from even on Zoom to help each other out, processes and procedures, and just how are you doing with your business, and really collaborating together to help each other. And that was a huge help to me, because I don't have an HR department to lean on or how do you properly do this and that. And so there were a lot of people that did provide a lot of assistance to us in just how to think about things, how to move powerfully in the different situations. And then once we were able to reopen, we thought it was going to be a little slow for a while, but it really came back very quickly for us. Great. So we were able to to bounce back rather quickly, which was very good for us. So
we actually had a better year, I think, in the end in 2020 than we did the year before. So we continued to grow even through COVID.
Yeah,
that's
right.
Yeah, so
you guys are doing amazing work, and this is great. That it's so great to have such great community leaders, but also have such a great success story and helping out the students. We really appreciate that very much, And so we really appreciate you being guest today for us on our podcast.
We love being here.
Yeah.
Thank you so much
Thanks
for having us.
Thanks
so much for all you do.
If you ever want us back, we have lots more to talk about.
All right.
Good.
We'll probably want to keep talking.
Yeah.
Well, with that, we'll end another of our podcast of Land and Legacy by Griffith Realty. Thank you.